All right, so let's get started. Go to File, New in Adobe Illustrator. We'll call it Typographic Poster. 16 inches by 20 inches. So make sure that is inches over there. Everything else can be left the same, CMYK, 300, etc. All right, so let's start off by making our pattern. We'll take the rectangle tool and we'll hold Shift and just draw out right around there. I mean, you don't have to be perfect. It doesn't really matter. So basically, this is just a square. It has a black stroke with a white fill. We can get rid of the fill. We don't need that. And it's just 1 pixel. So let's take this, go to Object, Pattern, Make. All right, this little dialog box comes up. I don't want that anymore, so that won't happen again. And we'll leave it at 5 by 5 for the copies. Obviously, this is what we're working with. We're not going to be keeping this square. It's just going to help us see. It'll help us make the pattern, basically. So, all right, what we want to do, we will zoom up with our magnifying glass tool, and maybe a little bit more. And so anything that we do inside this square, the reason these are dimmed out is because we have dim copies to 50%. So it just kind of lets us differentiate between, the active, basically pattern square thing or whatever between the copies. So we'll leave that like that. So I'm going to take the pen tool and I'm going to click right around at the top portion of the square. And the next part's going to be kind of tricky. I've done this a couple times and it's actually been quite irritating. So like kind of around the center, you don't have to be specific or perfect or anything. And then come down back here. So we're just left clicking and dragging these points. All right. Okay, so let us at this point go ahead and take the direct selection tool, which is this one up here. And we could kind of see if you hold Alt and use your scroll wheel, you can zoom out easily. Our goal is to get this basically connected over here. So let's go ahead and zoom up again. So the goal is, like I said, we want these two to kind of just flow into each other. All right, so I'll just adjust. We can't adjust these points because they don't really exist. So that's just one thing to note here. So what I'm trying to do is visualize kind of like a smooth curve that goes in between these two. And obviously, you're adjusting these points, however you think they will work best. All right, so let's go ahead and hide that square layer right here in the Layers panel. And now what we want to do is create another point. All right. Now I'm going to take both of these and increase the stroke. Okay, that's at 100%. Now what I want to do is take the ellipse tool and we'll come out right around there. Just something that's kind of like a pattern. I think that will work out pretty decently. Okay. All right, so once you're done, what you want to do is take, you can name it whatever you want. I'm just going to leave it a new pattern. I'm just going to hit done. And then I'm going to take the rectangle tool and just go basically the size of the document. And we will click on that. All right, so that's our pattern. It's filling this in here. And it is basically transparent once again. I want to go back. If you ever want to edit your pattern, you can just double click it over here in the swatches. And I want to make an adjustment. We'll go to Object, Path. Oop, we got to select them all first. object, path, and outline stroke. Hit done. All right, so now what we want to do is I'm going to move this above this top layer, and yeah, it doesn't have a fill, that's why we can still see it. Oh, was that the actual? Oh, I'm sorry. What we want to do is duplicate this rather. So Control C and Control F, and then make it black, and then take the opacity down just to 90%. So now we can just barely see our background right here.